All right, well, maybe we will get started. Welcome everybody to our climate talk in partnership with Falmouth Memorial Library and Efficiency Maine. Definitely see some familiar names here, and thank you so much for taking the time today to join and learn more about heat pump technology in Maine. So I'm Ashley Krulik. If I haven't already met you, I'm the Falmouth Sustainability Coordinator. And Falmouth is currently undergoing a climate action planning process, which involves looking at all of our carbon emissions in town and then setting goals for how we're going to reduce those emissions and mitigate and adapt for the impacts of climate change. And as part of that program, we are running a series of climate talks that have ranged from talking about how flooding is going to affect Falmouth. We've talked about the Casco Bay with the Casco Bay Estuary Partnership. And today we're very excited to have Lily McVetti and Andy Meyer join us from Efficiency Maine to talk about some actions you all can take to mitigate the impacts of climate change, specifically heat pumps, which are an efficient heating and cooling source that run off of electricity. And so if you're able to sign on for community solar or do panels on your house, then it means that you could really have a very small carbon footprint once you have this new heating source in place. So Lily and Andy are going to talk us through just what heat pumps are, how they work. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, and they're going to help to set the record straight and educate us all. So welcome, Lily. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Just please bear with me a moment. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Are you all able to see this PowerPoint?
Great. Looks great to me.
Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Lily McVetti. I'm a program assistant with Efficiency Maine. And as Ashley mentioned, I'm joined by my colleague, Andy Meyer, who is a senior program manager at Efficiency Maine. Together, along with one other person, we manage Efficiency Maine's residential programs. This evening, I'm going to talk about heat pumps. I'm going to give you an overview of our rebates, financing, technical information, and I'll show you how to find a heat pump contractor. Before jumping in, I want to provide some background information about Efficiency Maine. We run the state's energy efficiency, renewable energy, and electric vehicle programs. We're known for 4 things. 1, rebates. 2, financing. 3, technical information, and 4, our extensive database of contractors. We're funded by several sources. The primary ones are electric and natural gas bills. We also have a board of trustees. So what is a heat pump? Heat pumps provide efficient heating and cooling. There are over 80,000 heat pumps installed in Maine. Heat pumps are great for a single room, like a wood or pellet stove, or your entire home. Heat pumps can serve as your primary heating source, and they don't require you to get rid of your existing heating system. Last month, Maine received a national award for its heat pump initiatives. Last year, we rebated over 20,000 heat pumps. Efficiency Maine, its hundreds of contractors and tens of thousands of homeowners were recognized. Heat pumps have 5 major functions. 1, heating. They provide heat at roughly half the cost of oil and a third the cost of propane. 2, cooling. They provide AC without the hassle of having to move and store them, like you would have to do with the window unit. 3, dehumidification. Heat pumps have dry mode that can help take the humidity out of the air. Often, it's the humidity and not the heat that makes people feel uncomfortable. 4, air filtration. Heat pumps have filters that can help remove the dust and pollen. This is especially helpful for people with allergies. And lastly, ceiling fan. Heat pumps have fan vanes that you can direct towards you to provide direct cooling. How do heat pumps work? During the winter, they transfer heat from the outside to the inside. An important note is that they do not make heat. Instead, they move heat. They move it from one place to another. So in the summer, they reverse. They do the opposite. They move heat from the outside to the inside. They move heat from the inside to the outside. All right, back to this one. And there are some heat pumps that can heat as cold as -30 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat pumps have 4 components. 1, an indoor unit. The indoor unit delivers heat or AC. And there are different types, and I'll show you those different types on the next slide. So the second one is an outdoor unit. The outdoor unit works with the indoor unit to deliver heat or AC. They're typically mounted on the side of your home or on a stand. The third element is a line set. A line set has 4 elements. It has 2 copper pipes that move the heat, an electric wire that's used for communicating between the indoor and outdoor unit, and a condensate pipe. The last one is a remote control, so you can adjust the heat pump to your needs. There are different types of indoor units. The most common one is a wall-mounted unit. They're usually positioned high on a wall for circulation. There are also floor units. They're mounted low on a wall, and they look like a typical Renai heater. There are also ceiling cassettes, and they can be easily placed into a dropped ceiling. A single outdoor unit can be connected up to 8 indoor units. There are also mini duct systems that has an air handler and short ducts and line sets. In this example here, you can see that the air handler is placed in the attic, and it inhales air from the hallway and provides heat and AC to the bedrooms. A common question that we get is, how much does a heat pump cost? Here is an example for a single indoor unit. The install cost was $4,500. You can get an $800 rebate. So the net installed cost is $3,700. If you choose to finance, it's about $40 a month. The energy savings may cover the cost, plus you could get air conditioning. This is just a simple example for one indoor unit. Most homes will need more than just one heat pump. Heat pumps provide a handful of benefits, partly which I've already covered, but I'll go over a few more. Heat pumps help lower your heat and AC cost. They can help you decrease your carbon footprint. They help you gain room-by-room control. And since there are no fumes or combustibles, you're increasing your health and safety. And they can help improve air quality and comfort with the filters and dehumidification abilities. Our heat pump rebate program is terribly complex. The good news is that Efficiency Maine provides rebates to help you get heat pumps. As the circles indicate, you can receive up to $1,200 for a heat pump, and double that up to $2,400 if you're qualified for the low-income rebates. To qualify, you may receive LIHEAP assistance or have a home and land assessed value under $135,000. You don't need to remember these numbers, you just need to know that Efficiency Maine has rebates for heat pumps. Another common question we get is, how do I get a rebate? To get a rebate, 1, you have to find a contractor. The contractor must be a registered contractor with Efficiency Maine. The next step is negotiating the scope of work with the contractor. You can decide who gets the rebate, the contractor or the homeowner. After the project is completed, the rebate claim is submitted. And up to 6 weeks later, you can get a check in the mail, and a check that you can deposit for cash. It has nothing to do with tax credits. It's cold, hard cash. One of our most popular online tools is our Contractor Database. It receives over 40,000 searches a year. I'll now take you to efficiencymaine.com to show you how you can find a contractor near you. So here at efficiencymaine.com, you can type in the service or select the service you're looking for. For example, heat pumps. You can type in your zip code, 04105, select the distance, say 25 miles, and click search. Since there are over 750 contractors, it may take a bit to load. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list to show you how many heat pump contractors are within 25 miles. Okay, so there are 156 contractors. Scroll all the way to the top, and you can see that Royal River Heat Pumps is located in Freeport, Maine. You're provided with their phone number, their website, and how to get in touch with them. Since there are a lot of contractors, we provide a list of questions you can ask. To find the best fit, we recommend talking to at least 3 different contractors. Another interactive tool at efficiencymaine.com is our home heating cost calculator. It's interactive, so you can change the prices to fit your home. I've gone ahead and put in some numbers for a typical home. In this example here, it costs about $1,800 to heat your home with heat pumps. And for oil, it costs about $3,000 per year to heat your home. And for propane, it costs almost $5,000 per year. Normally, heat pumps, wood, and natural gas are the cheapest. At efficiencymaine.com, we also have a web page dedicated towards information about heat pumps. We have information about our rebates, how to find a vendor, the savings calculator, FAQs, home energy loans, installation considerations, case studies and testimonials, and tips on how to best use your heat pump efficiently. In addition to heat pump rebates, Efficiency Maine has rebates for heat pump water heaters, energy audits with 6 hours of air sealing, insulation, electric vehicles, geothermal heat pumps, pellet boilers, and clothes washers. You can get started at efficiencymaine.com, or you can call our call center for any questions you may have. Thanks to the town of Falmouth and the library for organizing this event. I'll now pass the mic to Andy for some Q&A.
So who wants to, how are we doing the questions? Oh, we're going to submit them online. I see someone's already asked one. So Vicky and Bob Swerdlow ask, you list dehumidification. Do they dry out the air during the winter? Thank you for asking. No, they only dry out the air when you put them in dry mode or air conditioning mode. So in heating mode, they're not removing any moisture. That's only happens when you ask it to. I suppose if you had one in your basement and you wanted it to dry out the basement in the winter, it could. But no, they're not like forced hot air with an oil furnace that are leaking air and drying the house out, which is a complaint we hear about with forced hot air. There's no air lost to the outside with the heat pump. It doesn't take indoor and out. It doesn't exchange indoor and outdoor air, so you won't have any drying.
And I just wanted to add, I realized we didn't talk about how we would take questions, but people are definitely welcome to submit it via the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we can call on you that way. But I see that some more are coming in through the Q&A, so we can start there. Thank
you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Another question from Vicky and Bob Swerdlow. What happens during an electrical outage? These great questions. Keep them flowing. heat pumps produce the same amount as an oil system or a propane system does when they have no electricity, which is to say they don't make any heat at all. So you could use a generator if you want, but like any heating system besides a wood stove, heat pumps need electricity. So if you run out of power, if you lose power, you lose heat or air conditioning. So that's not any different. And getting back to the Q&A. Courtney Ampazan, sorry if I messed that up, asks, does it make sense to put a unit in each bedroom or one for the entire upstairs? I've received conflicting information from contractors. You will get conflicting information because the answer is it depends. The heat pumps are just like any other heating system. I kind of compare it to a wood stove, for example. If you put one in the master bedroom, for example, and you shut the door and you've got a hallway, and down the hallway you have another bedroom with a door shut, it won't heat that other bedroom. Doesn't matter how big it is. You can heat the master bedroom to 90 degrees if you want. You're still not going to get heat past a closed door, down the hallway, and through a second closed door. So it really depends on the layout of the house. Generally speaking, warm air, hot air won't get past an up stairwell. So if you have the heat pump on the den, for example, you've got a stairway going up, and you have a kitchen on the far side, the heat gets that stairwell, it's going to go up the stairs. So it won't reach. If it's generally an open room, a heat pump has enough power to heat or cool any room. That's not the question. The question is, how about the next room? And so our house, I live in Falmouth. We put a heat pump in our kitchen 10 years ago, and the kitchen always, all year long, is perfect. It's whatever we ask it to be. The den in the wintertime would be maybe 2 or 3 degrees colder than the kitchen. We didn't have a heat pump in the den. And upstairs was pretty cool, and we liked it like that. And then summer came, and we discovered air conditioning, which we had never had in our whole lives. And air conditioning stays downstairs beautifully. The whole downstairs was incredible. I felt guilty. It was so comfortable. But you walk up the stairs, it was like walking into an inferno. You go up the stairs and your head would hit the hot air and your feet would still be in the air conditioning. Air conditioning does not go upstairs at all, zero. So we put in another heat pump. We put one in the upstairs, and it's the same type of thing. The master bedroom was perfectly comfortable all the time. The kids' rooms down the hallway were somewhat more comfortable, but not, the cold air would hit the stairs and fall downstairs. It wouldn't really get to the kids' bedroom. So then, Courtney, to answer your question, we put a heat pump in every bedroom. So I'm in one of our bedrooms right now, and it's perfect, and it's always perfect all year long. And I have a very small heat pump in the small former kid's bedroom. So that's a long answer to a short question. I could have just said, it depends. Hopefully that helped. And I see Richard Klain asks, we have Royal River installing heat pump end of April. Hooray! We already put down a deposit. Is it too late to apply for a home energy loan? No, it's a great time. You can, I'm sorry, that was Janet Dye. Janet, it's a perfect time. You can go to efficiencymaine.com right now while you're talking, and you could apply for the loan tonight. We're open. Our loan application is available 24 hours a day, and we'd love to issue you a loan. And Royal River is, as Lily just said, is a registered vendor. So no, it's not too late. Richard Klain, who I think I know your name as an EV owner, I am also. With all the increase in electrical needs for cars, heat pumps, and water heaters, how will this impact the statewide grid? And the answer is it will increase demand for electricity, and in a very nice way. One of the problems we have in the grid is uneven use of electricity. So we have a couple grids depending on winter or summer, but the grid peaks in the morning, and then it goes down, and then it peaks again in the afternoon. And that means you have to have a grid big enough to handle the peak, but you're not always using the peak. So the distribution gets expensive. Heat pumps work steady 24/7. They work a little bit harder in winter nights than winter days because it's a little bit colder, and they work a little bit harder in summer afternoons than summer nights because it's a little bit hotter. But they're a good steady demand on the grid, which is the best way to reduce distribution costs. So that's good. Heat pump water heaters, well, first of all, heat pump water heaters save electricity. They reduce the load on the grid. So that would help, but they also are not running at peak time, which is good. And cars, if you get a smart charger or a car like yours, Richard, I think I know what kind of car you have, same as mine, you can program it to charge off peak. And that is actually a wonderful thing for the grid, because now you're getting more electricity through the grid without having to make it bigger. That said, overall, we'll need a bigger grid. And the question Richard asked, what effect will a brownout have on heat pumps? And I don't know, but they have electronics, and I don't think they would like that. You may have to reset it. I've had, as I shared, heat pumps for 10 years. I think we did have a flicker in the power once, and we had to turn it off and turn it back on. Kind of like other electronic things. They don't appreciate getting dirty power. Hopefully that answers that question. Peggy asks, I have a York heat pump that kicks in at 30 degrees. Do I need a new heat pump to have it work at colder temps, or can mine be modified? I'm not sure, Peggy, but I've never heard of modifying a heat pump. Generally, they do what they do, and if you want them to do something different, you would get a different one. So you'd have to check with some York expert, but it would be the first time I've ever heard of modifying a heat pump that can work lower. And York typically is a brand for air conditioning that can do heating down to typically somewhere around 30 degrees. The heat pumps that we rebate at Efficiency Maine, they all work below zero. Some can work to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. They're really a very different critter, as Lily explained. They're super high performance, designed for cold temperature, designed for Maine climates. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that one. T. Bannon asked Tom, oh, hi Tom, asked two questions. He says, hi Andy, is the outdoor unit more efficient if installed off the ground? I'm going to answer that first because I have a bad memory. It's a whole lot more efficient if you have snow on it. Yes, we don't recommend, we won't rebate an outdoor unit that's mounted on the ground, and all of our installers know that, and they would never do that. Mounting an outdoor unit on the ground is something that air conditioning companies do, and that's perfectly fine to have an air conditioning outdoor unit on the ground. It's not affected by snow because you don't typically air condition in the winter. But all heat pumps that we rebate would be mounted up, either mounted to the house on a bracket, mounted to the foundation or the wood, or they can be mounted on a stand. They can actually be mounted away from the house. My brother's outdoor unit you can't find because it's not near the house. It's hidden behind a stone wall on the far side of the path that goes around the house. So trick question, if it's installed on the ground, we won't rebate it. Another question that Tom has is, how much of a difference in efficiency is there between an outdoor unit that is placed in the sun versus a shaded location? And I don't know the answer to that either, but these outdoor units have very big fans, and they are circulating a lot of air in extreme situations. If it was on the sunny, if that part of the house, if that part of the backyard or whatever yard was warmer, it may make a difference. The warmer the air that the heat pump is in, the easier it is to extract heat and pump it inside the house. But I don't really know how big of a difference it would be. Sorry, I don't know that answer. See my friend Bob Shafto asks, hello Bob, have your energy costs been adjusted for the high electric and oil costs? And yes, I'm glad you asked, because what Lily showed is the full reflection of the recent electrical price increase. And we have prorated and not fully adjusted for the new cost of oil. So the nice thing about our cost calculator is you can put in your own energy costs. So if you can get firewood cheaper, you just type it in and the calculator will adjust for it. You can look at the governor's energy office for the cost of oil. You can do your own projections, what you think would be. Ours is a running average. I can't remember the last 4 months or something like that. So it doesn't spike up and down quite as fast as actual oil prices do. But generally, what Lily said is very true, that oil is about twice the price of heat pumps, and propane is generally 3 times as much as heat pumps. So hopefully that answers your question, Bob. Thanks for coming tonight. And Vicky and Bob Swerdlow ask, can you speak to spending money on heat pumps versus spending money on solar? Yes, I can. Heat pumps, it depends a lot. So it's not in every house, in every case, but you saw the numbers that Lily showed. Depending on the heat pumps, there's maybe 5 or 10-year payback. The first one will pay back very quickly. The subsequent ones won't pay back as quickly, but I'd say roughly 5 to 10-year payback. And we might have someone on the call who wants to estimate solar, but somebody want to give an estimate on the payback on solar? I think I probably better not take a guess on that one. But the payback on heat pumps, if you finance it, there is no payback. You are saving money usually day one. So there's nothing to wait to catch up. You're actually ahead. So I didn't fully answer your question, Vicki. I'm sorry, but I don't want to take a guess on the payback on solar. Jay McSee asked, do heat pump warranties vary? Yes, they do. They're typically 10 or 12 years parts and something like 1 or 2 or 3 years on labor. And it depends typically on the manufacturer and the installer. So the manufacturer will offer a longer warranty for an installer who has been through their training and they're comfortable will install them properly. So that might get you a couple of years extra warranty. And Susan asks, will the heat pump in my basement dehumidify it in the summer? And will the basement become warmer in the summer as well? Okay, that's a good question. Will the heat pump in the basement dehumidify in the summer? If you ask it to, oh yes, it will. Mine, when it's in dehumidify mode, takes the water out and waters our blueberry bushes in the backyard, which is nice. We've got it plumbed to the garden. Will it make the basement warmer in the summer as well? Not in dehumidify mode. In dehumidify mode, heat pumps are actually air conditioned. They're cooling with a very low fan, so it will make it slightly cooler. So you can't have heating and air and dehumidification happening at the same time. You have to pick one. Hopefully that answers your question, Susan. I see another one from Richard Klain. After installation, oh, okay. After installing a single unit. So the answer is no, but I'll get to the question. So Lily explained that you can have 1 to 8 indoor units attached to a single outdoor unit. You cannot, however, change your mind. If they come as a full set. There's a few small exceptions. You might be able to get by with 3 indoor units on a 4 unit outdoor unit, and then add a 4th later. That would be very unusual, but I think you're best off just thinking about putting in whatever you want and then putting in another. So maybe you put in a single zone, which is 1 indoor and 1 outdoor. And then later on, like we did, so when we added the second one, we added a 2nd outdoor unit. So we had 2 indoor units and 2 outdoor units. But generally speaking, you would not change the configuration. It's not available. You could do that with oil and propane, and natural gas, but not so much heat pumps. Next question is, do heat pumps drip condensate like an AC unit? Hopefully I just answered that. The condensate, as Lily described, is caught in the indoor unit. It doesn't come out, well, it does come out, but it comes out in a hose, and that hose can be plumbed anywhere you like. The condensate line in the room I'm in the middle of our house on the front. It's a 2-story colonial typical house. The condensate goes in a hose in the wall between this bedroom and the next bedroom. It goes through the front hall closet. It goes into the basement ceiling, and above the drop down ceiling, it snakes across the ceiling of the basement. It sneaks to the unfinished part of the basement, goes down the wall, and it sneaks into the sink next to the clothes washer. So these guys are really clever about where the condensate goes. So you can, that's pretty extreme. We have another unit, and it is plumbed into our gutter. You couldn't even find it. So it drips water into the gutter, goes down the downspout. And I mentioned the blueberry. We have another one plumbed to our blueberry field. Peggy asks, I've heard that heat pumps don't necessarily need annual cleaning. Thoughts? They don't necessarily need annual cleaning. It really depends. I wish that you guys didn't know me because I'm about to confess something, but I went 7 years without cleaning our outdoor units. Can I do this anonymously, Ashley? Can I like turn off my video? I have a friend. That's what I'll say. I have a friend who didn't clean his heat pump outdoor units for 7 years. And when we checked them to see if they need to be cleaned, the oldest one, who was actually 8 years old, did not need a cleaning after 8 years. The other one, after 7 years, was filthy. And so it really depends on what's going on around it and when you're using it. If you're using it in the winter, there's not a lot of dust to pick up. And the one that stayed clean for us, we mostly use for heating. If you're using air conditioning, that's the dust that's being run during the summer, and that's the dusty time of year. It also depends, do you have grass nearby or just dirt, loose dirt nearby? So I'm going to give you a resounding, it depends. And hopefully that example shows how it really does depend. It was on the same house. Another question from Richard Klein. Do you want testimonials here tonight? We sure do, Richard. You put it right into the question, into the Q&A, and I'll read it. Yeah, thank you for offering. I will also say, as Lily mentioned, Lily and I and the whole program management team, several of us, get together every week and we read every single customer sat survey, thousands each year, and we read every single one, and they look fake. I don't know how people get so excited about a heating system. We were talking to Keelan before we started the session. She has one, so we asked her the question that we ask every customer: on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you be? How would you rate your overall experience with the heat pump? And unrehearsed, she said 10. Over roughly 90% of homeowners rate their experience with the heat pump either a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 0 to 10. But yes, Richard, bring it on if you want to share, good or bad. We'd love to hear your testimonial. Courtney Ampersand asks again, are there brands that are better than others in terms of efficiency or longevity? Yes, there are. And because we're Efficiency Maine, we're very biased for those that are more efficient. The ones that we rebate are the ones that are the most efficient. And a little side benefit, the more efficient they are, the better they do in the cold. They're actually directly related. And as far as longevity, we don't know. They haven't been breaking down very much. 80,000 rebated. I've got heat pumps in my house. One is 10 years old. And I've called for service. This is a little embarrassing. I've called for service 3 times. 2 times they said, kind of the take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. They said, have you tried turning it off? I said, yes. I said, do you turn off the circuit breakers? No, should I do that? Yeah, why don't you turn it off, wait a half hour, turn it on. If it doesn't work, call us back. 2 times that worked. The 3rd time, the guy actually came to my house. We had more than one, so it was okay that it wasn't working. And I had had it shut off at the circuit breaker for days by the time he came. I told him there was no rush. I mean, I do know a lot about heat pumps. He comes in, he turns on the circuit breaker, and it wakes up, and it's working just fine. He says, so what's the problem? I said, oh, this is embarrassing. Don't tell anyone this happened. I don't know. It wasn't doing that. So I mentioned that the dirty power, sometimes they get confused and need to be reset. We did have one that was had a bad part. It was manufactured with a bad part. And we called one of the vendors on efficiencymaine.com, and they came out and they replaced it. It was part of warranty. But I think you'll be fine with any of the residential registered vendors on efficiencymaine.com. Whatever they recommend would be good units. Again, we're rebating one every 6 minutes. There are a lot of them. Hopefully that answers your question, Courtney. And Tom's got another question. If an outdoor unit is installed on an exterior wall that faces living space, how noisy is a typical unit compared to a fairly new window AC unit? Can you hear the vibration as much? I love these questions. It's nowhere near as loud as a window AC unit. You won't be able to hear it. I'll give you an example. In our house in Falmouth, we've got a unfinished porch. So when you're in the porch, you can see the 2x4 studs and you can see the sheathing on the outside. There's no insulation or sheetrock or anything. And one of our heat pumps is bolted right onto it. I mean, you can see the bolts. And if you look through the window, you can see the outdoor unit right below the window. I had some friends come over to experience how loud they are. And they were in the porch and the heat pump was off. I said, okay, now I'm going to go into the kitchen. I'm going to turn it on and you'll hear it. And I came back out and I said, okay, I've turned it on. You hear that noise? That's the heat pump. They argued with me. They said, no, that's not the heat pump. That's a plane flying overhead. I said, okay, we'll keep that plane flying around the house as long as you want. And when you want to end the plane, I'll go in the kitchen. I'll turn the plane off. Guys, that is the noise. So it's not loud. And so that's as loud as a heat pump's going to get. We're literally an uninsulated wall. It was right there. The first time I saw one was with a colleague with Efficiency Maine. We actually had one at Efficiency Maine. It was keeping our computer room cool. And we were checking it out. And my colleague was leaning up against it. And we were talking. And it started right then. I was looking at it. I was looking at him and he was touching it. I said, it's going. He said, what's going? Said, the heat pump, turn around, look. So he was touching it and didn't hear it start. So they're super, super quiet. That said, the vibration, I like that question, Don. The vibration, if it's mounted to the wooden part of the house, if it's on a stand, there's zero noise. If it's mounted, bolted to your foundation, there's zero noise. If it's on the side of the house, it won't be so much a noise as a vibration. And I've heard it described as a diesel truck running on the other side of the street. So if you listen clearly, you more feel it's going, just a hum, but not a noise and not like a new or old window air conditioning unit. The compressor is outside. That's where the noise is. On the inside, the only time there'd be a noise if the fan was going very, very hard and you would hear the wind whistling through it, but the compressor's outside. Hopefully that helps, Tom. Susan asks, follow up on the basement question. We could switch from dehumidification to heating whenever we wanted, right? Yes, I'm going to give you one little twist on that, Susan. If you have multiple indoor units attached to a single outdoor unit, then they all have to be in the same mode. So you could have heat the whole house, which most people do, or air condition the whole house, but you couldn't heat one room and air condition another room at the same time if they share an outdoor unit. If you have just one heat pump or you have one outdoor unit for each indoor unit, you can dehumidify or heat whenever you like. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just on the remote control. They all have those 5 functions that Lily talked about. Yeah, it's whatever you want. And that's one of the reasons people like heat pumps is you get heat and AC from the same system. And then once they get AC, they try dehumidification and they love dehumidification. It doesn't cool the house down. It just dries it. It just makes it comfortable. So hopefully that answers your question, Susan. And Jay McC asks, how long do heat pumps last? And I'm going to dodge that one again. We don't know. I will tell you at Efficiency Maine, we make savings assumptions as to how much our customers will save using different products, insulation, heat pumps, things like that. And the assumption that we use is 18 years for heat pumps. Now, they do have moving parts, so things are going to break. They have electronics, and I've shared that I've had some hiccups. I had to shut it off and turn it back on. They will fail because they have moving parts. We just haven't seen enough fail to have an answer. And the ones in my house are, the oldest one is 10 years old and one is 9 years old. And I have some that I bought since then, but I don't know how long they're going to last. Hopefully 18 years. I'm probably not as long as a cast iron oil boiler, which could last for decades. There's only a few moving parts on them. So that's, come ask us again in 10 years, Jay McSteve, we'll have a better feel then. Well, we might still not know then, but we assume 18 years. And Bob Shafto asks, do you have a backup heating system in case of, say, an extended power failure or extremely cold winter? And we do in our house. We have a wood stove. You know where we live. We probably all live in similar houses. We live in the forest. We burn firewood in self-defense. The trees come down, we log them, so we have firewood. If we were to lose power, that's how we would heat our house, would be a wood stove. And that's probably the best way to do it. You can also get you don't need a backup heating system. If you had a generator, then you could run your heat pumps off a generator. We chose wood stove because we already had one and we have a lot of firewood. Hopefully that helps answer your question, Bob, about backup for extended power failure. And extreme, I'm sorry, you also asked extremely cold weather. It had to be extremely, extremely cold weather. There are heat pumps available that have 80% capacity at -20 degrees Fahrenheit, and they will continue to put out heat at -30 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is not wind chill. Wind chill actually warms up heat pumps. So cold is, we've never had cold enough temperatures to need anything beyond the heat pumps. The refrigerant gas that circulates inside them boils at -55 degrees Fahrenheit. So heat pumps, the ones that we rebate, they're, if sized properly, and installers on efficiencymaine.com know how to do that, you'll be just fine. Power failure, you're going to have issues. You need a generator to run. Hopefully that helps, Bob. Thank you for asking that question. And Richard Klein asks, he says, we heat, oh, this is maybe the testimonial. We heat with wood primarily and use the heat pump during the shoulder seasons when we don't want the wood stove going. Yes, I know that. Yeah, it's tough to run a wood stove when it's just a little cold out. We clean the interior filter twice a year with soap and water as recommended. It takes the chill off in the morning very quickly. For the last 2 years, due to COVID, we have had family here working during the summer in the house. The AC has made this possible, especially during the heat of the day. The dehumidifier has been a real boon during those August dog days when the humidity can be a problem. Thank you, Richard. That is a unpracticed. Oh, and we have more coming in. Richard goes on to say, we also use a heat pump for AC and heat in our place down east. The convenience and inexpensive nature over oil is a real boon. People from away sometimes don't know enough to open the windows during the day to take advantage of the sea breeze. Yes, that is one of the problems with heat pumps. It makes you so comfortable. You kind of lose touch with what's going on outside. So you're just comfortable, you walk around, you go outside, and say, holy cow, it is freezing out here. You don't have that connection. And in the summer, you're just kind of strutting around, you go outside, open the doors. Oh man, it's like a furnace out here. So that is one of the drawbacks with heat pumps, is they will keep whatever temperature you ask for, it will be that temperature regardless of the outside weather. Thank you for that testimonial, Richard. That's really helpful to hear. Tom Bannon asks another question. Will an outdoor unit that feeds, say, 4 indoor units need 120 volt service or 220 volt? I'm wondering what sort of power load is required and what amperage has to be available from an existing household power panel. And the answer is all the heat pumps that we rebate are 220 volt. It's 220 volt to the outdoor unit. And then as Lily showed, the outdoor unit has supplies power to the indoor unit. So there's only one connection to the panel. It takes a dedicated circuit, and they're usually around 15 or 20 amps, depends on the unit. So hopefully that helps. I will also share on our house, we've got everything electric. Those of you know me know that our cars are electric, our lawnmowers electric, our snow blowers electric, our leaf blower, our chainsaw is electric, our water heaters are electric, the house is heated with electric. I guess the wood stove's not electric, everything else is electric. So we have a lot of demand for electricity, or we have the potential to have a lot of demand. And so what the installers did for our most recent heat pumps is they put a sub panel. So we have a panel on the wall, they put another panel next to it on the same wall, and somehow they wired it up. I don't know how that works, to give more space for circuit panels. So that does sometimes happen if you're switching your whole house over to heat pumps. Hopefully, Tom, that answers your question about 120 volt versus 220 volt service.
Thank you so much, Andy. That was 24 questions, and you did it easy peasy.
Well, those are great questions.
Yeah, really wonderful questions. And thank you all for being so engaged. And do you have the breath left for one more question from me?
Oh, yes, please. Ashley, you get the bonus round.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I have a very old New England house with oil heat. And I would love to get rid of my oil heat completely and not have that tank in my basement anymore. But I've spoken to a couple of different providers who you can obviously do a full system with heat pumps and get rid of the oil, but that's more costly. Or we could just get 2 or 3 heat pumps that will take most of the burden off the oil and live with having that oil tank still in our basement. Do you have a recommendation on those 2 options?
Yeah, the nice thing about heat pumps, and Lily said it, is you don't have to make a dramatic move. It's not an all or nothing type of thing. So you can do exactly what you said. Leave your oil. We still have an oil boiler that we had a friend come pump all the oil out of it, but it's still there. We could put oil back in it, probably need a cleaning or something and run it again. But there's no harm in having it in the house. And for a few years, we kept the oil boiler. Yeah, I'll tell you our progression. We put in the 1 heat pump, and the kitchen was perfect. The den was almost perfect, not quite, but it was fine. And the upstairs was cool. Our kids will say it was cold, but it was cooler upstairs. And then we put in the second one, I told you. And we would, if we had guests over, we just fire up the oil boiler and keep the guest room warm. And then we get to a point where we didn't want to burn any more oil. So we don't want to do that. So we put heat pumps in the rest of the bedrooms, including the bedroom I'm in right now. So you can just go one step at a time with heat pumps, and you don't have to make a giant irreversible decision. You can put in one and use it like crazy. The more you use it, the more you save. But maybe the other rooms, maybe you can make it through October, maybe make it through November before you have to turn on the central boiler for the other rooms. Maybe you put in a second, maybe you put in 2 more. No one's asked, so I'm going to volunteer. They are addictive, and that we need to be careful. So if you put in just one, you're going to be tempted to put in another one. I mean, they really make the house comfortable, and they're quiet and they're clean, and as Lily said, they filter the air. They're really, really nice for air quality and comfort. I'm just being honest, you probably won't stick with one. You'll probably fall in love with it, but you can just put in one to start with it, put another one. You can leave that oil boiler forever. So I'm dodging the question, Ashley, but that's the way heat pumps work. They're really super flexible. And Lily showed you can have one that's the ugly white plastic box on the wall, which is what we have. You can have it disappear, so it's just a duct in the floor, a duct in the ceiling. There's almost invisible. There's lots of choices. So that's kind of, it depends.
Yeah, no, that's really, really helpful. And I see that Dick Clean raised his hand. Keelan, are you able to give him permission to talk if you hover over him? I don't have the permission. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Oh, I see a hand up.
There he is. You can go, and you have to unmute yourself, Dick.
Yep. I just wrote a comment too, and that is, Ashley, money right now is cheap. I know that you guys are in process of owning your house from the bank. You probably have some equity in it already. What I would do is I would go to the bank and say, I want to set up a system with heat pumps. I'm going to get this rebate back from Efficiency Maine, and I want to tailor my payments equal to what my present oil payments are.
Yeah, that's a great strategy.
That way it wouldn't hurt so much. And 5 to 7 years, you'll have it all paid off, and you can get as many as Andy is recommending too. So enjoy.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And I've definitely heard of that strategy with solar, of having the payments equal your monthly CMP bill. So yeah, why not do a similar thing with your heating bill? Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks, Dick. All right. Well, I think you got through all of the comments, Andy. Good job. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lily, for an amazing presentation. This was really beneficial, and I'm so glad that we have had such great engagement and so many interesting questions. We will be sending an email to everyone who attended just with some follow-up information. And more information about our climate action plan. So, and we can also include that contact information for Efficiency Maine that Lily included. But yeah, thank you all for attending, and thank you so much, Lily and Andy, for coming to speak with us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Ashley.
you for having us.
Thank you, Keelan. And thanks everyone for asking the bazillion questions. That made it a lot more fun. We enjoy it more when they were responding to questions. So thanks everybody.
Absolutely. So much better. All right. Well, thank you. And I hope everyone has a lovely evening.
Thank you all.
Bye.